Hi, welcome. It's Meredith. I am here with a special new moon reading for us. The new moon is happening on Sunday, the 15th of November, 2020, in the sign of Scorpio. It starts out in Scorpio anyway, but it does move into Sagittarius in the same day, I believe. In the northern hemisphere here, Eastern time zone, 7 minutes after midnight, we have new moon. And then at 10:47 on the 15th p.m., the moon's going to move into Sagittarius. So we're going to cover both of those signs and the energetic influences of those signs. And we're going to throw some tarot cards into it as well. Why not? What do we have going on? The past few weeks, we've had consistent messages here in a very rich Scorpio season. Mercury has been in Scorpio. We had a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. The sun's in Scorpio. New moon is happening in Scorpio. Do you want me to go on? Everything is Scorpio. I love that though. And I'm going to make a suggestion too. Plug some of your details into an astrological calculator and find out where Scorpio lives in your chart. You might be surprised. And you might be surprised at the information we turn over here. I'm excited to see the tarot cards myself. You may be surprised at where Scorpio lives in your chart, within the houses in your astrological chart. You could have some real epiphanies and ahas. I had one myself. I had no idea that I had Scorpio in 5 places in my chart. And I have spoken to more than one very talented astrologer, and it wasn't until I spoke to the last one that she identified this for me and explained so much about my personality and aspects of. So it's fun. It's fun information. So if you have even a general interest, I highly suggest you check it out and learn about yourself and see how the signs and where they live in your chart and how they affect you, how they influence you, and then how the astrology on a day-to-day basis can have an effect upon all of us. All right, let's get into this. What does it mean to have a new moon in Scorpio? And let's revisit the last several weeks worth of daily readings in a very abundant environment for us to be delving into the subconscious, into self-relationship, discovering energies that are of service, not of service to us, and working with them accordingly. Now, a new moon is all about a new beginning and a fresh start in the month. This is when the moon is dark. We have the dark of the moon, and everything begins over again, and then throughout the moon cycle it builds up again to the full moon where all that energy is released. So a short time ago we did the full moon, blue moon on the 31st of October in the sign of Taurus. So here we are. You know, all that energy has been released. We went way deep in all the Scorpio that's been available to us. What happens now? We've hit the new moon, a fresh start, a new page. The moon's going to switch signs in this phase, and I really feel that we are going to experience a lightness of being. That's not to say that delving deeply into Scorpio is a heavy thing. We do tend to encounter some challenging aspects, though I feel they bring us a whole lot of aha, epiphany, and inspiration. So it's worth the journey deep within, and Scorpio affords us that. You know, if we've got the question of why, or what is this purpose? How does this pattern serve, right? If we have that, Scorpio will easily help us identify the answers to those questions. And then once we have some of those answers, what do we do with that energy? How do we move it forward? So what does it mean to have a Scorpio new moon? It means that whatever has been deep within our consideration between now and the full moon will surface and reveal. I sense that we are going to go into a much more philosophical, intimate expression of our own hearts. I feel that that's the energy that is blossoming out of all of this Scorpio depth. And it's going to blossom in a beautiful fiery sign in Sagittarius, where there's going to be a whole lot of enthusiasm and optimism. Now, what else is going on here? How we share with other people is a direct reflection of how we are expressing ourselves. And that's just what I feel we've got our fingers on at this time. In the depth of inner exploration, we are discovering that we have a desire to share much more authentically. There is an intuitive perception that I'm picking up on that we hold ourselves back. We hold back what's in heart space for our own sense of self-preservation and safety, and perhaps the perception of comfort of another person. In other words, if we share our full authenticity, is it possible we will offend? We will create discomfort within the environment and then have to navigate that discomfort? That we will be presented with challenge and we would rather avoid it? Some people will say that they avoid conflict at all cost. But what is the cost here of not sharing yourself authentically? Consider it. It's a great question. So the feeling is that we've taken a deep dive into our courage and discovered that we have a whole lot of enthusiasm to share our authenticity. That's what's coming out of Scorpio. Scorpio is deep and sensual and intimate. And why would we want to hold that back? Again, it comes down to the perception that we're keeping the environment comfortable by disguising the depth and breadth of the fullness of our being. And perhaps, just perhaps, let's consider that we are cheating the moment of the gloriousness of our unique self-expression. Then we are going to move the energy into Sagittarius. So imagine you have the courage to just let it all out, right? Be authentically raw you. And it's so embraced and you feel free and liberated and unleashed and profound. That's the feeling of what's unfolding here. And with a new moon in Sagittarius, we're definitely feeling passionate and charged, ready to take a risk or make a bold move. It feels like we're in a serendipitous flow of spontaneous energy. All I can see right now is the Chariot. Do you remember, oh my gosh, I'm dating myself now. Do you remember those toys? This would be in the 70s, that had a crank and a motorcycle, and you wound it up, and finally it had enough charge on it to let go, and it raced across the room. That's how I feel our energy is building. And that's what's been happening in the Scorpio energy, and it's going to unleash and let go with Sagittarius. Let's take a look at the tarot cards and see what they have to say about it. So with the new moon beginning in Scorpio, we start out with the Wheel of Fortune. What a perfect card here. What a great confirmation, actually. You know, it's the Wheel of Fortune turning in our favor. And I call this the divine delivery system. But what is the divine delivery for us? I feel it's us. It is the divine delivery of our authentic wholeness. Not held back, not cleaned up, not polished, let's say. Definitely it has tact and it has grace, but it's got passion and heat and fire, and yeah, you want to put that out there. I feel that's on the Wheel of Fortune. I think it's a great confirmation to the Scorpio energy. Now, let's also comment that that aspect of Scorpio is to be just as celebrated as the depth of going within self in Scorpio energy. There are two ends of a spectrum here. You can go deep and quietly within and make these amazing discoveries in this sign because It lends itself to that, but it equally lends itself to the expression of what's discovered. Yeah, that's why Scorpios are so compelling. And then we have the Fool coming right after the Wheel of Fortune. What a perfect, lovely alignment here. Before I move on to the Fool, I do want to say something here. This card for New Moon in Scorpio, I think it comes out of the Moonology deck. The message on it is work through your fears. I'm going to say, I'm just going to change that up a little bit. It's trusting yourself to be courageously vulnerable. Now, for some people that could feel fearful and quite uncomfortable, so I get it. Though I want to put a deep and positive spin on that too, because really the world is calling for the unique you, the you of you. And that held back in any way, perhaps denies the rest of us the gift of you. So do something new, the Fool, and express that, share that, be that, right? The Fool is 0 in tarot. It's the beginning of the major arcana. The suggestion with the Fool is that there's no experience here, and there's also no concern for consequences. And I don't quite agree with that traditional meaning at the moment. It's not that there is no concern for consequences. The feeling is that we have plenty of experience with consequences, and now is a time to move forward regardless of those. We've got that experience. We know what it's like to be vulnerable. We know what it's like to feel fearful within our vulnerability. And now we're being called out by the universe, as a matter of fact, by the astrology, to bring the uniqueness of our heart of hearts to the atmosphere. And there's a fresh new start there for us. I do want to say that my guides are actually sharing with me right now that sometimes a bold move looks very subtle, and it could be a simple gesture. Let's just consider that, you know, you've reached your hand out to someone and they finally accepted it. I know that doesn't sound like very much, but if you consider that maybe that person never took your hand before, but this time they did. You know, you offered it unconditionally. Do you have the sense of how profound that can be, and how that new beginning and fresh start can change and recharge the atmosphere in a whole new way? So consider things like that when you see the Fool, when you see the Wheel of Fortune here. And as we're talking about the energy of sharing our vulnerability, making the offer of your hand, and your hand being accepted. That's a profound energy. Coming with the Fool now is the Six of Swords. Oh, I like that too. What a great card, because it's further confirmation for us of how we're moving out of the energy of Scorpio. We're moving into the energy of Sagittarius over here. And traditionally speaking, the Six of Swords is all about moving out of unfavorable conditions into more favorable conditions. So I'm going to upgrade that message a bit and say we are taking the cream of the crop out of our recent deep dive in Scorpio, and we're bringing it with us into Sagittarius. I like it. Coming next, we have the Six of Cups, the Soulmate card. That's the Sun in Scorpio right there. More Scorpio energy. As if we need it anymore, right? All of it's valuable. Anyway, sixes bring harmony and balance, and now we've got two of them in the reading. And I feel that the Six of Cups is a card that is in the minor suit of tarot, related to the Wheel of Fortune. So I feel the Wheel of Fortune's message is doubled here. We are delivering ourselves new, upgraded, deep, fully expressed onto our own foundation. In the Soulmate message, this being the Soulmate card, we are our own best soulmate, and we have this kind of connection on offer to our foundation, our atmosphere, and our sphere of influence. So there's more of us to go around, more that we have to share because of this deep time, this deep dive in the Scorpio energies. Coming next, we have, look at this, the star. Yes, and the star is right underneath the Fool. And what a beautiful alignment that is, because, you know, at the star, we're coming close to the end of the major arcana. And the star is all about manifestation. It's creating anew. It is itself a new moon, as far as I'm concerned, energetically speaking. The star follows the tower in tarot, and the nude woman on this card is representative of her courageous vulnerability. She walks away from the debris field of the tower with nothing, not even a stitch of clothing. And her nudity speaks to just that vulnerability, being bold, taking the risk, walking away and saying, I have nothing to hide but everything to share, and an enthusiastic ability to rebuild. Beautiful message, right? And then we have the Four of Swords. This is a card of preparation. It's a 4, so it's super stable. We love the stability of the 4s in tarot. This one is rest and relaxation for the spiritual warrior, and it's definitely a welcome card after navigating so much Scorpio energy, so much Scorpio depth. We're ready to take a little bit of a pause in the action here on the 4, but we pause in a stable way as we switch signs and we move into Sagittarius. So the 4 is preparation for what's coming next. So what's happening next? 10 of Wands. Beautiful. Fulfillment, completion in a fiery, passionate way. And that's just what I'm talking about, on how, you know, Scorpio is equally deep and equally deep in its expression and how it is shared and celebrated. And I feel that the 10 of Wands here is a great card to demonstrate just that. Its message is setting down a burden, and I feel that this is all about liberating oneself from the energies encountered within subconscious evaluation, and we know now what needs to be let go of, and we do. We let go. So the 10 is absolutely a liberation card as we move into the Sagittarius energy. And then this is followed by, oh my goodness, look at that. I'm so glad to see it, because there's the Chariot. I did say all I could see earlier was the Chariot, feeling like that's how we were charged. That's how we dynamically wanted to move forward. And here it is in the reading. And it's under the Sagittarius aspect of the new moon phase. So we charge ahead, just like we're talking about over here. We've been gaining momentum and motivation to move forward, and we do it without hesitation and in a very dynamic way. It's a 7 in tarot, so that's heaven touching earth for us within our own heart space. And then we have the Strength card. We've gotten to the heart of the matter, and this is all about sharing your courageous heart. That's so beautiful. 8s are more movement, momentum, motivation, dynamic movement. So it's perfect to see the Strength card following the Chariot. It's very stable movement forward, and there's a lot of sunlight and happiness on these cards right here. I think this is a super stable card for us. We let this go, and letting go of something that we've been carrying, 10 of Wands, that began to feel burdensome. We may have been accustomed to the weight of it, but when we set that down, we're not necessarily accustomed to the liberation of it. And that could have us a little bit off balance, right? But we have a stable 4 over here, and we have a stable 8 over here. And so it tells us that we're remaining in balance on our foundation in a dynamic and strong way, with our heart space fully expressed, open, shared, ready for action. And we're going to stay connected to what is at the heart of the matter for us because of that Strength card. Next, we have the Moon. Well, how beautiful. We're talking about the Moon here, and this is heightened intuition. This is something of the unknown becoming known. I feel as I look at the card, that epiphany has already happened. The deep knowing has already occurred to us. And I feel that the Moon is the intuitive sensitive expression that comes between the new moon and the full moon. So this is definitely a period of experience that's taking place. And the presence of this card speaks to the stability and gradual nature of self-discovery. And in terms of timing, not that we get caught up in too much timing, I really do feel that this takes place between the new and the next full moon, which happens on the 30th of November in a lunar eclipse in the sign of Gemini. So when I said earlier, some of us have got evidence of what's in manifestation, what's in blossoming, and some of us don't yet. It's during this phase that we will probably have the deeper reveals. They will come in a gradual way. Followed by the Four of Wands. Here again, a super strong foundation. This is love, bliss, joy, happiness. It is one of the happiest cards in the minor suits of tarot. It's on the Sagittarius side of the new moon experience. And this feels like a goal. This feels like an accomplishment. And it feels like a celebration. Some of us are literally, quite literally seeing our dreams come true. We've seen a lot of the Nine of Cups, Ten of Cups, Ace of Cups. We've seen a lot of movement in the Eight of Cups in the daily readings. And the feeling is that it's all been heading in this direction. Though we've been in such a deep phase in Scorpio season that, again, we don't have a lot of evidence for Four of Wands, Nine of Cups, Ten of Cups. So in the midway part of the new moon phase, we'll definitely begin to feel more of this Four of Wands and see more of this Four of Wands. I had a conversation with someone recently, and we were speaking on feeling slightly melancholy in the current energy atmosphere, while simultaneously witnessing dreams, goals, intentions, the star, Wheel of Fortune, blossoming on our foundation. So we're seeing happy things, we are having happy experiences, and simultaneously feeling melancholy. And that feels as though it's the bridge. It's standing on the bridge between Scorpio, Sagittarius, between a great big shift or change within the energy atmosphere. So we're quite literally feeling energy purge and ebb away as new energy flows in. Four of Wands. And then we have, look at that, the Seven of Coins. Another seven, more heaven touching earth. And, you know, this is a ripe harvest card. We've got harvest on the vine. So this here, this seven is evidence of the energy investment that you have been making through this incredible Scorpio season. And there's the evidence of bounty on the vine. So hang in there. This isn't quite ready to be picked, but it is darn close. Evidence of it's showing. And when I see the Seven of Coins, I almost always want to say, it may not look like much is happening, but it's the time when everything is happening. It's just going on behind the scenes or behind the veil, however you want to phrase that, but it's about to pop through. So stick to the heart of the matter within your own self. Continue to use the Scorpio energy in a way that serves you for knowing your deep inner relationship, and then have the powerful presence to vulnerably and courageously share what's in your heart space, and that will unburden you, unleash you, liberate you, and set you free, and also set you on a really strong foundation and set you up for more with the Seven of Coins. Fantastic. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a beautiful new moon. Hey, welcome. It's Meredith again. I decided to add to the new moon message because the astrology is pretty interesting. This is all taking place on the 15th of November, Sunday. So I'm tacking this on to the end of the new moon video, and I was taking a peek at the moon diary and noticing just how much was happening within the day. And I am not a professional astrologer, though I understand that as above, so below, and the astrology has certainly been interesting over the past number of weeks for all of us. And I'm a visual learner, so I've looked all this stuff up on Google, I've taken a look at my moon diary, and I decided that for my own edification and to share with the rest of you, I would try to bring some of the current astrology to life through the oracle cards. So, we have a new moon in Scorpio on the 15th of November 2020. You've just watched that video, but the other stuff that's going on is that the moon is sextiling. I made these little cheat cards for myself, by the way, and for you, so you can follow along. The moon is going to sextile Jupiter. So again, this is all happening on the 15th, but I feel that the energy atmosphere is supercharged by all of this, and I like to have a visual for, you know, what does this look like, sound like, feel like? What is a sextile even? So when I hear astrologers talk about these things, I'm always so impressed by their scope of wisdom in this arena, but I don't always quite connect to it when they're talking about it. So a sextile is two planets that are 60 degrees apart, and they create a harmonious influence. So there's ease and happiness, cooperation. It's easy for us to collaborate. So we've got the moon sextiling Jupiter. Jupiter is known as a good fortune planet. And what happens when these two come together in this way? We feel like socializing. We want to share philosophical inspirations with those of expansive intellect, similar to our own. We want to be funny. We want to share our wit and our wisdom in a humorous way. And this is also, I think we were just speaking in the new moon Scorpio and Sagittarius reading about how we may be making subtle gestures, but they end up being profound in nature. And the moon sextiling Jupiter puts that energy out in the atmosphere as well. So we want to lean deeper into the spiritual aspects of our personality, and we want to share that awareness with others when the moon is sextiling Jupiter. The moon is also going to sextile Saturn. What does that mean? And when the moon is sextiling Saturn, it will be void of its course. Now, when the moon is void of its course, there is the suggestion that it nullifies energy, or this is a time to not work with energy. You know, be at ease, be at rest, be at peace. So what's going on when the moon sextiles Saturn is we're taking a look at harvest. Now, we were just looking at the 7 of coins in the new moon reading, so it's a good time to contemplate, but maybe not take action. So that really does confirm the message for us that things are ripening on the vine, and when it looks like nothing's happening, everything's happening. So the moon may be void of its course in Saturn while it sextiles the moon, but there's more going on behind the scenes than we could ever fully contemplate. And I feel that that brings us into a situation where the universe surprises and delights us as the moon moves into its next phase, which would be conjuncting the sun. So the moon then conjuncts the sun. After it completes its void of course through Saturn, a conjunction is 0 degrees. The planets are 0 degrees apart and they link up, and that blends their energy. So we're going to blend now. Let me make sure you can see all this. We're now going to blend the energies of the moon and the sun together, and that's going to create a really powerful intensity. So imagine the brilliant clarity of the sun, the brilliant clarity of the intuitive moon. We're seeing it all. The sun obscures nothing, the moon obscures nothing. We see it, feel it, hear it, taste it, smell it, know it with our 5 senses and then our intuitive senses. Isn't Isn't that amazing? So what else goes on here? It's a powerful blend of those energies. And, you know, these are two of our most popular planets in orbit. We're looking to the sun and the moon all the time, aren't we? So all aspects of each of these two planets come into their highest expression through us. So we'll be feeling a lot of motivation and charisma, confidence. Yeah, I've got notes here so I can remember all of this, by the way. And without knowing it, we are actually demonstrating some of our subconscious and our conscious awareness. And it happens in a dynamic way. So let's just say, here's an example. Here's an environmental example. You send something down and it falls off the counter and you quickly grab it. You know, you got cat-like grace. That sort of a thing. This is how we move when we're in a sun-moon conjunction. All the best aspects of our talent, skill, ability, awareness, intuitive and otherwise, is just dynamically present for us. And when we have a conjunction like this, there's a lot of impact to the energy atmosphere. So how we interact with the energy atmosphere creates impactful experiences for us. Now, what happens next is that the moon trines Chiron in the day as well. The moon's very busy today. Not exactly sure how to line all this up for us, but what does it mean when the moon trines or we have a trine going on? The planets are 20 degrees apart, I believe, and a natural flow brings about harmony and ease. Our innate skills and talents, see, serendipitously express. Yeah, just what I was talking about here, this dynamic flow, dynamic connection between the sun and the moon. Now that's a trine with Chiron. Chiron is considered the wounded healer. So what this means is we'll be able to see how we are of service to others, yet in a way that reveals to us how we are not of service to ourselves. And because this happens in a natural way, with an ease and a grace and a serendipitousness to it, we're not critical and we're not judgmental of it. So we may be of service in the way that we advise others when they come to us for our wisdom and our experience, but in the offering of that experience or dispensing that advice, we recognize that we need to take our own advice. So this kind of alignment with the moon trine Chiron gives us the opportunity to see where we can do some deeper self-care. And then we have, I think this is the last bit of astrological news, we have Venus squaring Pluto. And a square creates tension. So there's tension between Venus and Pluto. What does that mean for us? First of all, a square means that peaceful resolution is an option. It is possible. Even though a square creates tension. Sometimes we need tension. Think of trying to move a rock with a board. You need to be able to put some tension on the board to leverage the rock and move the rock, right? So tension is not necessarily a negative thing. So let it go in like that. Tension can be really important. So when we have Venus squaring Pluto, we might recognize our insecurities, and that could come out of this trine with the moon and Chiron, the wounded healer. So when we see the very things that we offer advice to others about but don't take ourselves, that could bring up an insecurity for us in the square between Venus and Pluto. But again, we're in a beautiful atmosphere to see these things in a non-judgmental, non-critical way and do something about it. So what goes on? Our insecurities surface in this kind of square, and we have an invitation here to honor what is untested, tentative, or a previous wound, and look at it in a new light. Don't forget, we saw the Fool in the Scorpio aspect of the new moon, right? So if we've had a previous wound, let's come back to Chiron, we could easily stand there and say, I'm not doing that again because it really hurt the last time I did it. But we could leverage this beautiful energy atmosphere that we have on Venus and Pluto and take a look at that insecurity or that tentativeness or that untested aspect of our personality and say, this is a fresh start. This is a new beginning. Just because it happened this way once before doesn't mean it will happen this way again. Okay, what else do we have going on? Oh, you know, we have an opportunity here with the sun and the moon conjuncting one another to add a layer of positive experience to our prior wound. So by choosing to look at the insecurity just for what it is, saying all parts are welcome, yeah, it didn't go so well the last time, I'm willing to give it another try, we have an opportunity to add a positive layer of life experience here. Also, you know, we're dealing with Venus in a Scorpio new moon, and, you know, she's sensuality and intimacy, and so is Scorpio. And we are being invited by the tarot cards in this new moon, Scorpio Sagittarius energy, to bring our whole selves out into the light. And that takes real courage, as we've been talking about. And the feeling here is we're optimistic about just putting it all out there. So leverage that for yourself. Leverage your hesitation and your tentativeness. Allow that to be the tension that removes an obstacle for you that was once a wound, Chiron, and bring it out into the light of the sun and the moon and see it for its wholeness and its fullness and express it. Bring it into your sphere of influence and just watch yourself feel blessed, experience being blessed by the loving kindness that you show yourself. All right, so there's a visual on what's going on astrologically for us alongside the new moon. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the beautiful new moon and all of this interesting astrology, and certainly leave some comments if you are so moved. Bye for now.